On today's episode of Watch Chair Go, the 3-day long flood here in Wichita. Here's a little bit of video. Should I try it? I went around thinking I was just gonna hit the 4-wheel drive and go, but that's, I'd say it's 1 foot deep and insane speed. Probably not gonna try it. Looks like it might even be coming up. And just a couple hours later, wow, it was at least a foot last night. Has ended, and today we are back on the S10. What is going on, guys? I am Watch JR Go, and in the last episode you saw, we got the engine in, the transmission in, the drive shaft all cleaned up and ready to go in. We have a little bit of modification to do there to make sure that fits. I think I'm gonna have to slide the diff back. I hope I can, just 1/4 of an inch. I think we can buy that much room. Eric just hauled the cab and the bumper outside, and he is washing off that and the gas tank. Obviously all that stuff needed cleaned up because we have finishing work to do on all of that. Yes, this truck's getting wrapped. We're not just gonna respray it black, and the wrap is incredible. I say that when I haven't even seen it yet. I just came up with the idea, sent it to my designer, and we should have it back in 2 days. I'm not gonna show you guys the wrap until it's printed. You just gotta stick it out. It is mind-blowingly good, as long as it comes out the way I expect. I am not gonna spoil it though. Let's just say it's gonna be very bright. Very bright and in your face. Anyway, let's get back out here. We'll jump into the time lapse and start cleaning all this stuff up. And then that stuff will be ready to wrap and the cab will be ready to go on as soon as we finish wrapping up the drivetrain here. When your drive shaft doesn't quite fit, you just shorten it yourself at home. So this is actually the middle slip joint. It's not a critical one in any way, and I wanted to free up about that much room there on the tail shaft, and this is exactly what we needed to move that drive shaft back just a hair. So eventually we'll get a 1-piece for this thing, but for now we had to fix the 2-piece, and the Milwaukee bandsaw let us just chop the end right off of those splines, and it should be good to go. So I'm gonna clean everything up really well. We'll re-grease it and put it back together. It won't come apart anymore. All right, so Eric spun it while I ran the lathe. That's the lathe. And we got a nice taper on there, cleaned up the edge where we cut it off. Beautiful. All right, we need to figure out our intake clearance here. That's probably the next thing on the to-do list. I can't get the intake all the way on because of the steam port, so we are going to pop the factory steam port off of there since I'm sure we'll be going aftermarket anyway. Yeah, I'll pop these off and then we should be able to actually put the intake in place. Paintmaster Eric is heading outside. Obviously we got a second coat on the drive shaft. It is looking good and ready to go in. Eric's gonna just set this down on the concrete because really it doesn't matter at this point. The wrap is going to make it all flawless. Wow, that hood is beat. That's pretty good. It is as beat as they come. We actually do need paint on this side too. Yeah. So let's paint the inside. I guess we'll sand it.
Wouldn't be the worst idea.
Yep. And of course, we had to switch water pumps. We were using the truck water pump. The truck water pump is the same side, and the LS3 Camaro water pump, even though it's triple the price, lets us use the S10 radiator. So we're doing that. Got a thermostat, got our oil pressure sensor here, PS308. All right, now it'll sit where it needs to sit. So right about right there, it actually drops in. Do you eat terribly every day and then wonder why you don't fit in the small seat in your go-kart? Well, so do I, but I'm trying to be healthier. So I've been drinking AG1. We've got a little bit of water here in the bottle. We're gonna put in 1 scoop of our AG1, level it off here, and this is all we have to do to mix up our athletic drinks. Shake it for a couple seconds, and we've got 75 vitamins and nutrients ready to go. So for a long time, I've been drinking an energy drink every single morning, and I've replaced it with this for my source of energy. I don't have the caffeine crash like I would with an energy drink, and it's energy that lasts a lot longer throughout the day. Athletic Greens has energy supporting ingredients like natural B12, never synthetic, biotin, magnesium, and bioavailable folate. Only takes a couple seconds to mix it up, just like that, and we're good to go. And it actually tastes good too. It's not overly sweet, and I just like it. So it's an easy thing to drink every day to get ready for your morning. Go to athleticgreens.com/watchjrgo to get started on your order. AG1 is giving my subscribers a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. So huge thank you to AG1 for sponsoring today's video and being a continued supporter of automotive creators like me. Now, back to the S10. Well, it took quite a while, but we got the gas tank back in here. The straps are all on it, and Eric is putting in the factory rock shield because we might as well put it on there. So, actually, if you want to hand it to me, I can slide it back towards you. Here's how this goes on. There's one bolt that holds it in the bottom. I think it just slides onto that bolt.
Does it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, is it on?
Yep. Well.
Hold on. I actually need to crush my end a little bit. There you go. I'm on.
Okay.
Boom.
Yeah, that Eastwood coating had that thing on there like Loctite.
Spray paint Loctite right there. So we have run into a bit of an issue. We do not have the right fuel pump. We opened up the fuel pump here and got ready to put it in and found out 92 to 95 Sonoma. For now, we're just gonna leave it like this until we get a new one. Now that we've got the gas tank in, we're ready to drop on our freshly painted drive shaft that looks aluminum. So that should pretty much wrap up the drivetrain. The engine is going in. We think this is for the final time here, unless the accessory bracket on the driver's side doesn't fit. We also deleted the AC. It's not gonna work. It will not fit in the chassis unless we move everything. How's yours? Mine's in.
Probably a little farther.
Oh, yep, there we go.
Right there.
See if she fits.
You going front to back?
Yes. Wow, it almost fits.
Needs to go up a little.
Yeah, I think a bump up will actually help. Should work. Engine's in.
Yeah, you can drop it down.
Hey, before you undo it, I do want to test fit the power steering pump bracket. We are on the late night ICT billet mission. The AC didn't fit, obviously. And the power steering pump also does not seem like it'll fit. The factory power steering pump is hitting the steering box, and it was an issue we thought we might have to address. Yeah, this road's pretty bumpy. Yes. ICT Billet has drawings on their website of everything you need for your LS swap if you didn't know, including what water pumps work with what balancer spacing and all kinds of awesome stuff like that. So the trucks use a -3 spacing or a -3, and the LS3 Camaro also uses a -3 like we mentioned earlier. So we got that sorted out. We got the right water pump so we can run the radiator we want. And now we are running over there to pick up a few other accessories and things we need, like we need to be able to build a power steering system basically by hand. So they have kits for all of that stuff, so you don't have to have hydraulic lines built or anything like that. So we're gonna be over there in just a moment to pick up some parts. And the coolest thing is, yeah, I should get in the right lane. It's 10 p.m. and they're meeting us up there to make this happen. So we'll be back with you guys in just a few minutes with a bunch of shiny new billet parts that are made right here in Wichita. By this bright blue bridge Eric likes so much. We are back in the shop, and here is what we picked up from ICT Billet. This mount is going to move the power steering pump in and the alternator up a little bit there. This is, of course, our new billet valley cover. We have multiple options for our steam ports, heater core bypass for now, we're not going to run the heater core, and also our transmission to AN line adapters. We cleaned up the factory transmission cooler lines and decided that we hate them. The routing is just not good looking no matter what we did. So we had the engine back up for a minute when we tried to test fit the lines, and we gave up on that. So we have to adapt from these quick disconnect fittings on here over to AN line, and then we'll put some elbows on there and have just a nice little routing for the transmission cooler lines up to the radiator, or whatever else you want in the future, like an external cooler. I can go ahead and start changing over our valley cover. We're going to delete the NOx sensors, of course, so that cleans up a lot of stuff, makes everything nice, and we can build the fuel system on this intake. So the transmission cooler adapters are a pretty simple one here. They're basically ORB to 6AN. I don't know what the thread is on the transmission side, but this is important. You do have to get it right. If you're on a 60, these are both the same. If you're on a 4L80, one of them's longer, so note that. And I always have to look up which one's which because I never remember. So, pop these guys off of here. Oh, I think they might Loctite these in from the factory because they are tight. Very, very tight. There is yellow goo coming off the quick disconnect fittings. So I will also put pipe thread sealant on mine. And I probably don't need to put any sealant on here, but hey, we're gonna do it like the factory did it. I don't know why. The answer is because. Speaking of, I think this is the transmission squirter for the 4L80. That part right there. So I happen to have one in a box in case I ever worked on an 80 again. And just to make sure this doesn't leak overnight, I'm gonna put one fitting on here and point it straight up in the air.
I just want to see the inside of this.
Yeah. All right, the old valley cover bolts are out, so I should be ready to pop this thing out of here now. It's never easy, I'll tell you that. There it goes. Before we stick that new valley cover on there, take a look at the cam. Let you guys get a little look at that. This thing has a ton of mileage on it, but it looks absolutely beautiful inside. We're ready to drop on our new valley cover and get back on the intake and the steam port. Hey, will you grab me the impact socket for that bad boy?
If I have to walk across the room one more time.
Take the scooter.
No.
I usually drive across the shop at this point. It's terrible to walk that far. Time to build our steam port here. So we've got an 11 mil for our braided line. We're gonna put a little Teflon on here and then just screw this thing together. It's very easy to do. The fun part about building these steam port systems is you don't want to scratch them. So the only way to tighten it is to really kind of use your body and grab it, or put it in a vise with some kind of padding. There's always that option. And then this will give us the flexibility to fit under our throttle body here on the MST Air Force. This is the one that fits if you have an Air Force. So it's the 55169-4H, throttle body coolant hose bypass. Also, this is a steam port delete, so you do have to vacuum your cooling system down if you use this kit, just so you know. After you've got your steam port line all built, you just slap the O-rings on there, and these only line up one way, so it's not like you can mess this up. And then you just put in your bolts. Josh just finished swapping out the new transmission in his 3/4 ton Dodge, and now he's filling up the transmission, so that's why it's loud. Steam port complete. Let's get this intake on. Here it is time for the fun part. First, we need a little bit of oil to lubricate all of the O-rings for the injectors. If you've never done this before, I can promise you a little bit of oil will absolutely save your life. So you just need like a little cap you can dip into and just grab like a little bit for each O-ring and rub it on there. And I've got our MSD atomic fuel rails here that are built for this intake, and it should end up going something like this with our brand new injectors and a bunch of the O-rings. The intake side O-rings have to be replaced on our brand new EV1 injectors from Holley, so I have to pop each one of those off and change to a different O-ring. The kit comes with much bigger O-rings that are made to fit this intake specifically. Let's make this thing look like a working engine. You can just roll the O-rings off with your thumb. That worked out pretty well. So putting them on the injector, easy. Getting them on the rail and into the intake, not easy. So I'll lubricate here, here, and the O-rings, and then it should just drop together. We also have to build the rail itself. It has little brackets. Like I said, to the time lapse. Let's party. This is starting to look like something. Check out all of our wire routing there. I love it. I don't have a 102mm throttle body yet. That's actually a 103, but like a 102 should fit perfectly as well. This thing is a monstrous intake. And the other thing we don't know is, does it clear the cab? Because it does protrude a little bit past the back of the cylinder head. Here's the back of the head, and you can see there's a couple of vacuum ports and things like that sticking out. So obviously we need those, like clearly that's our brake booster. I'd like to hide the map sensor back here so it's invisible, and we can use that for, you know, the built-in map reference on the Terminator if we want, or, you know, whatever we decide to do there, or cap that off. But clearance is the biggest issue here. Obviously, we tried to get all those accessories there onto the engine today, and they did not work because we did not have clearance. So hopefully I'll get all that transferred over to the ICD billet brackets and mount it up tomorrow so it all works exactly the way it should. We definitely made good progress today. We figured out a lot of important things. I've got quite the list of what we need to complete this at this point. The drive shaft is in. The drive shaft did move back just a hair here. So the center carrier bearing for the two-piece drive shaft is gonna sit flush with the factory tabs, and we're gonna have a little plate that picks up those bolt holes. So I gotta fabricate that. It'll just take a couple of seconds, obviously. Just drill a couple holes and bolt the thing together. Of course, we have a fuel tank in, cleaned out, painted, so that's good to go. But we found out we don't have a fuel pump, and I don't think the factory truck headers are gonna clear. After we talked to Alan today, he was like, it didn't work for us. We had to use some hooker headers. So we have a to-do list and a to-buy list, and that should get us where we need to be. He did say, if you can get those headers on before the cab goes on, you will have a good time. If not, you won't. He also said the coils probably won't fit. We're gonna find out. Obviously, we're gonna experiment a bit here. I've got a full set of coils over here, but the problem is the cab's not on. So who knows if they fit or not. I need to have the cab on as a reference. I need to pull it on and off a bunch. So we'll just have to see where it all shakes out. So we are another day closer to LS Fest and quite a bit closer to the end result we're hoping for. I hope. It's gotta start, it's gotta run. But that is it for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to check out our sponsor for today's episode, Athletic Greens, athleticgreens.com/watchjrgo. They've got an awesome offer for you guys. Don't forget to head on over to shop.watchjrgo.com for cool shirts, not like this. And please like, share, subscribe, do whatever you want to do. And I'll talk to you next time. Oh, that bottom one's just very tight. All right, well, we got the top. Do you want help?
What are you doing? Pull the thing, I don't make a mess on the floor. Oh, it's like the real life.
All right, we got our pipe thread sealant on there. The 6A end adapters are going right in. Now I got to figure out where all my AM line is to build a system for this.